next several weeks, we are going to be in Job, Old Testament, Job. Pronounced Job, not Job. It looks like Job. And it's just before Psalms. So it's Ezra, Nehemiah, Esther, Job, Psalms, Proverbs, Ecclesiastes. Look at chapter 3, verses 1 through 10, 11, I think, and then 20 through 26. I want to say right off the bat that Job is difficult to get a hold of, just difficult to grasp. And so for the next several weeks, we're going to spend more time chasing Job around than actually catching and grasping him. But my hope is in the chasing Job around, that we will all benefit from it somehow, benefit from the exercise of it, so to speak. To me, Job is a parable. Now, the story may be based on a real person, but it's written like it's made up. It's written like a parable. Several reasons for this. The opening is a fairy tale type opening, or once upon a time opening. The scene there at the beginning in heaven where God dickers with Satan over the lives of human beings, more of a literary device in history. And then conversations throughout are poems. They're smooth, rhythmic reading verse. And so they're like poems. But nobody talks like that to each other. And it's more like what Shakespeare does with his plays. And so Job to me is a parable. Now, if you see Job as something that really happened, that's fine. I'm not going to hold it against you, but don't hold it against me because I see it differently. The thing is, this is truth, regardless if it's history or it's a parable. It's like Jesus' parables. He made those parables up, but it's still truth, God's truth. Having said that, let me get on with the story. Once upon a time, in a galaxy far, far away, lived a man named Job. Job had it all. He had health, wealth, large family, fame, good reputation, and he was religious as well. The story says he's the greatest man in the East. And then pretty much overnight he lost it all. Through a combination of human wickedness and natural calamity, he lost everything. His possessions, hired help, his children, his social standing, his health. And he went from being the greatest man to the greatest sufferer. After all this happened to him, Job was devastated, as you understand. And he really didn't feel like doing anything or saying anything. He was in shock. He was numb. He was hurting. He was confused. He was angry. And all he wanted to do was sit in a heap of ashes and scrape the sores off of his body. When his wife saw him, she said, "Job, why don't you just curse God and die?" Then three of Job's friends showed up to comfort him. And they didn't say anything to Job. Job didn't say anything to them. For 7 days and 7 nights, they just sat together. Job and his friends just sat together in silence. 7 days and 7 nights in silence. Then Job is the one who broke the silence and spoke first. And his words are not easy. And I want to read how he starts speaking after all of this that has happened to him. And this is chapter 3, verse 1 through, and I'm going to read through 11 and then skip down to verse 20. After this, Job opened his mouth and cursed the day of his birth. He didn't curse God, he cursed the day of his birth. Job said, "Let the day perish in which I was born, and the night that said, a man-child is conceived. Let that day be darkness!" Exclamation point. "May God above not seek it, or light shine on it. Let gloom and deep darkness claim it. Let clouds settle upon it. Let the blackness of the day terrify it. That night, let thick darkness seize it." Another exclamation point. "Let it not rejoice among the days of the year." He's talking about his birthday. "Let it not come into the number of the months. Yes, let that night be barren. Let no joyful cry be heard in it. Let those cursed who curse the sea. Let those who are skilled to rouse up the Leviathan. Let the stars of its dawn be dark. Let it hope for light but have none. May it not see the eyelids of the morning, because it did not shut the doors of my mother's womb and hide trouble from my eyes. Why did I not die at birth, come forth from the womb, and expire?" And then skip down to verse 20. "Why is the light given to one in misery, and life in the bitter and soul, who longs for death, but it does not come, and dig for it more than hidden treasures, who rejoice exceedingly and are glad when they find the grave? Why is light given to one who cannot see the way, whom God has fenced in? For my sighing comes like my bread, and my groanings are poured out like water. Truly the thing that I fear comes upon me. What I dread befalls me. I am not at ease, nor am I quiet. I have no rest, but trouble comes." And on Job goes throughout in that vein. His speech and speeches are filled with poison and anger, and events, and events, and events, and events. In the passage we looked at here, he wishes that he had not been born. That all that he's gone through, with all that he's gone through, it had been better that he had not even been born. And see, in verse 20 there, he wished he was dead. That's the wise light given to one in misery. And mentions about being fenced in by God. Before all of this, he felt that God had put a fence of blessing and protection around him, that God had blessed him. Now he feels that God has cursed him, and that the fence around him has cut him off from the land of the living and life. And this is God questioning. I mean, this is Job questioning God. And he's asking why questions in his own way. Why did this happen to me? Why Lord did this happen to me? Why Lord did you let this happen to me? Why, oh Lord, why? And it goes on and on like this. Now the story says that Job did not sin with his lips, but he comes very, very close to it. He lashes out throughout. He lashes out at what's happened to him. He lashes out at his friends who have come there to try to comfort him. He lashes out at God. He lashes out. And in fact, wears you out with his venting. as you read through this. At one point, he says that God is not good as part of his venting and lashing out. Chapter 9, verse 21. I am blameless. I do not know myself. I loathe my life. It is all one, therefore I say, he destroys both the blameless and the wicked. When disaster brings sudden death, he, God, mocks at the calamity of the innocent. The earth is given into the hand of the wicked. He covers the eyes of its judges. If it is not he, who then is it? It's not God, then who is it? Later on, he blames God for all that's happened to him. Chapter 30, verse 20. I cry to you, and you do not answer me. I stand, and you merely look at me. You have turned cruel to me. With the might of your hand, you persecute me. You lift me up on the wind and make me ride on it. And you toss me about in the roar of the storm. I know that you will bring me to death and to the house appointed for all living. And Job ends up challenging God to prove that he's wrong about all he's said about God. Prove that he's wrong. And Job says tough things about God, tough things to God, and questions God. A lot of people say that you can't say these kinds of things about God and to God, that you should not question God, should not get angry with God, that they say God's got a reason, God's got his reasons, and should not question, should not get angry with God. Well, I don't know where that comes from, because it does not come from the Bible. Does not come from the Bible. In this story, Job's friends say those kinds of things to Job, that he should not be questioning God like that God's got his reasons. Who does Job think he is? His friends challenge Job and say that. In the end, though, and a little spoiler alert, God says that what Job said about him is right, and what Job's friends said about him is wrong, and God sides with Job against his friends. The Bible gives us permission to question God and to vent and to lash out. Lots and lots and lots of people in the Bible do it. When God told Abraham that he's going to destroy Sodom and Gomorrah, Abraham questioned God about it. You mean you're going to destroy the righteous along with the wicked? Well, Lord, what if there are 50 righteous there? Will you spare the place for 50 righteous? And God's like, yeah, well, if there's 50, yeah, I'll spare any. And then Abraham went on, is there 40 righteous, is 30, to 20, to 10 righteous, and questioned God. One time Jacob wrestled with God all night long. He came away with a limp and a new name, but he wrestled with God. Went around and round with God all night long. One time, God got so angry with Israel that he wanted to destroy them, wipe them off the face of the earth. But Moses interceded on Israel's behalf and talked God down and talked God out of it. And God changed his mind about the destruction he was going about. The Psalms are filled with people who question God and ask tough questions and vent at God. How long, O Lord, how long will my enemies prevail over me? How long, O Lord, how long will the wicked exalt? Psalm 42. My soul thirsts for God, for the living God. When shall I come and behold the face of God? My tears have been my food day and night, while people say to me continually, where is your God? Where's God in all this? Psalm 88. But I, O Lord, cry out to you. In the morning my prayer comes before you. O Lord, why do you cast me off? Why do you hide your face from me? Wretched and close to death, from my youth up, I suffer your terrors. I am desperate. Jeremiah denounced everyone and everything. God asked him to do that. And Jeremiah did it. Jeremiah, he denounced the people, he denounced the king, he denounced the preachers, he denounced the way people were living, he denounced the way people didn't worship God, he denounced the way people did worship God. And then Jeremiah denounced God for asking him to denounce everyone and everything. And he said that God had deceived him. On the night that Jesus was arrested, he went to the Garden of Gethsemane and he prayed. And he opened up his heart, he poured out his heart to God. God, I do not want to go through the cross. I do not want to do this. Lord, if you are willing, remove this cup from me. But not my will, your will be done. Jesus prayed. And while Jesus suffered and died on the cross, he cried out, my God, why have you forsaken me? Yes, the Bible gives us permission to question God. My contention is if we stop talking to God when we're going through difficulties and hardships and pain and stuff, we stop talking to God, that's when we need to watch out. We stop talking to God, then we need to beware. But as long as we keep talking and keep talking and keep talking to God, open up, talk, and talk to God, it'll be all right. God's presence and talking to him and talking to him and keep talking to him. He has a way of comforting and healing us. He does. And we see this with Job, and I'm a little spoiler alert here again. But Job continued to talk and vent and question God. And then God showed up. And God did not answer any of Job's questions. In fact, God just had more and more questions for Job to consider. But God, being there, made Job feel better about things. Combination of Job talking to God, talking about God, opening up, talking about God's presence. A combination of talking in God's presence brought comfort and healing. In my first pastorate, Shoals, Indiana, I visited a mother who lost her son. He was an adult son. He was an adult. He battled cancer for some time and then died. His mother was living with her daughter and son-in-law. And when I visited her, they were all there. And we sat down together and talked for a good long while about things. We talked about her son. We talked about what he went through and what happened to him. And then I had prayer with them. And just before I got up to leave, she stopped me. She said, Mark, why did God let this happen to him? She said, I prayed and I prayed and I prayed for God to heal him, and he didn't. Why? Before I could say anything, the daughter spoke up, and she said, oh, Mother, you shouldn't question God like that. God's got his reasons, and you shouldn't be angry with him. Well, I did not want to come between mother and daughter, and but I disagreed with the daughter completely. Completely disagreed with her. But I heed and hawed around some sort of response and then left. But I would love, after thinking about this for years now, I would love to be able to go back and answer the mother again. After 30 years of being in the ministry, I would like to say this to her. A lot of things happen that God does not want to happen. Since Adam and Eve, we have lived in a fallen world. And there are a lot of bad things that happen, that continue to happen, that God does not want to happen. But the Bible tells us again and again and again that God loves us and cares about us. And we see this ultimately in Jesus, God's Son. Jesus, God's Son. Jesus is God with us. Jesus is God with us, helping us, loving us, caring for us, saving us. Remember the time when Jesus raised Lazarus from the grave? Lazarus is a good friend of Jesus. Lazarus' is two sisters, Martha and Mary, good close friends, lived in Bethany. When Jesus found out that Lazarus died, he went to Bethany to bring Lazarus back to life. He knew that's what he was going to do. But when he got to Bethany, he visited with Martha, Lazarus' sister, and that's when he said, I am the resurrection and the life. Visited with Mary, Lazarus' sister. And he asked Mary, where is Lazarus laid? Where's his tomb? As he got close to the tomb, as he got near it, he saw how sad everyone was and how they were grieving. And it touched Jesus. And the Bible says that Jesus was greatly disturbed in the spirit, and he was deeply moved. And Jesus wept. Even though he knew he was about to bring Lazarus back to life, he wept, seeing how sad everyone was. God truly cares about us. And so, and I'm talking to the mother now, and so talk to God about the death of your son. And keep talking to him. And keep talking to him. Don't hold anything back. Let it all out. And talk to God. And talk to God. And talk to God. In the talking to God, there is comfort and healing. There is comfort and healing with God.